Hello, everybody. It's Lee McQueen on the 2016 primary race. I just wanted to do another video and to say very happily that Bernie Sanders is going to Washington. He's going to Washington. One way or another, he's going to Washington. After the Western primary continues, and we have our last Super Tuesday with New Mexico and California, Montana, and states in between, Bernie Sanders is continuing on in his race for the Democrat primary, and he's going to take it to Washington because Washington, D.C. doesn't vote in the primary until June 14th. And much as the Democrat Party has been trying to order Bernie Sanders to not campaign and to stop his campaign and to drop out, he's not going to disenfranchise the voters in Washington, D.C., who are waiting for him and want to cast a ballot for him. That's just the kind of guy he is. And we also don't know what's going to happen for the for the results of the FBI investigations, two of them that are open against Hillary Clinton. We still don't know the fallout against that. So much as they're trying to wrap this up and coronate her and to push Bernie Sanders out of the race, there's just too many open questions. There's too many open investigations, too many unanswered questions, too many issues that need to be addressed that have not been addressed either by the Democrat Party or the Hillary Clinton campaign or the mainstream media. We need these issues addressed. And until then, Bernie Sanders is in the race. And beyond Washington, I believe his next stop is going to be Philadelphia. So a fun time. A hot fun in the summertime. I think that's what's going to happen. Okay, so Bernie Sanders is going to be very busy, but that doesn't mean we are sitting around and waiting for things to happen ourselves. There's still voting beyond Super Tuesday or the last Super Tuesday in on June 7th. There is still more voting to do, and I want to make sure to mention this because often this voting is under the radar where people don't notice it. But this year, I think all voting is very important. If that's one thing we've learned, that if there's this big machine that's been trying to disenfranchise you all this voting time for the primary, there's a reason why. They're trying to discourage you. They're trying to make you feel hopeless and helpless and powerless and confused. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to cooperate. You can just say, well, you know what? I'm going to vote my conscience. I'm going to vote for the greater good. I'm not going to vote for the lesser evil. I'm not going to be discouraged or intimidated or harassed or bullied out of my right to exercise my civil rights at the ballot box. So don't let anyone do that to you. We had a lot of issues this year with voting in several states, but I say don't give up because that's what the powers that be want you to do. They want you to give up. Some states that have already voted and weird things happened on the way to the ballot box, don't give up. There's still more voting in quite a few states to do. These are the down ballot candidates. And I mentioned that Bernie Sanders is going to Washington. He is. He's going to Washington for the Washington primary on June 14th. But then he's still, Washington, D.C., and he's still beyond June 14th. He's going to Washington. He has a job there. He's either going to go back to Washington as a U.S. Senator. He's going to go back to Washington as the president of the Democrat Party, or as the presidential nominee of the Democrat Party, and then possibly the U.S. president, or he's going to go back to Washington as the president of the Green Party, the Green Party nominee, run that ticket, and then become the U.S. president via the Green Party. So whatever happens at the top of the ticket, Bernie Sanders is going back to Washington. He is not going to go back to Washington alone. He is not by himself. He's captured the hearts and the minds and the hopes and dreams of every American that's ever heard him speak or heard him talk. He's had an effect. It's called the Bernie effect. And it's not stopping, definitely. Not after the primary season, not for a long time. So, Bernie Sanders is either going to finish out 4 more years of his Senate term, or he's going to start 4 more years of his first term as the President of the United States. Whatever way, he's going to need 4 years of support to get all those policies and agendas and orders passed. He needs 4 years of support, a support system, a structure that we, the voters, can create for him if we continue to exercise our rights and fight for our rights as U.S. citizen, register to vote at the ballot box. So let's try and do it. I've mentioned the Berniecrats at berniecrats.net, Bernie leaning candidates for office. You can go to that website and find your state, and you'll find a list of Bernie leaning candidates for office, some of whom Bernie Sanders has endorsed because he says, for sure, I want these people to come with me to Washington, or even to stay in place as a state representative or local official, whether it's a city councilman or an assemblyman. He needs them to stay in place to make sure to look after the voters' best interests, which is also his best interest. And as we've seen, his best interest has always been that of the citizens. So, look for the flag that says Bernie has endorsed them, but just go down that list and you'll see Bernie leaning candidates that want to support Bernie's platform. They've endorsed him, they've agreed with his issues, and they're very likely going to work with him. And I've been to that list, and there's Democrats on that list. There's unaffiliated politicians on that list. I've even seen a Republican on that list. And then also Greens. There's Greens on the list. The Greens have not listed all of their candidates on the berniecrats.net list. And so if you want to see who the Greens are that are still running for office in one of maybe 20 states in the U.S., you can go to their website and find Greens who are standing ready to enter office. And the Greens will likely support Bernie Sanders' platform as well. Okay, so there's a lot of down ballot candidates. They run the gamut from state officials to local officials. There's commissioners. There's people who want to be on the school board, city council, everything in between, all the way up to state representative, U.S. representative, senator. We want them all. We want them all. So if you go to that list, print it out or just choose the state, choose your state and print that list out. Or if you just want to send money, if you've got that kind of money, they can always use help with your campaigns to keep spreading the word that they're in the race. But anyway, starting with Arizona. Arizona is a special case because of all the voter issues that occurred that actually served as the lightning rod that alerted the rest of this nation that there was voter suppression and fraud and malfeasance occurring. And then this was admitted by the Secretary of State. She's like, yeah, there was fraud. And we saw Hillary saying, well, I won. And how did that make voters feel? Not good. You can still get some back. You can still get some back from Arizona. Arizona is going to be voting on August 30th for down ballot candidates. There's senators who are running. They're all Bernie leaning. Go to BernieCrats.net. There's, I think, 14. They're going to be voting on August 30th for the down ballot candidates in Arizona. Arizona got knocked down. They served to alert the rest of us to be very careful and vigilant. So they took it on the chin. They took it for the team. But now we can support Arizona and show them how to get some back. And quite a few of these candidates want to see some changes in their district. And I'm pretty sure election process is going to be one of those changes. So if you're in Arizona, you might want to just try it again, and then this time make sure that we send more Bernie Crats into office to support Bernie. So those of you who didn't get a chance to vote for Bernie, vote for Bernie's Bernie Crats. You can get some back, and you can help him get some back. Okay, let's see it. California is going to be voting for the down ballot candidates with the president. So June 7th, that's when California votes. Colorado is going to be voting on June 28th. And I called out Colorado, which was Bernie leaning state, because the senator decided to be a super delegate for Hillary Clinton. There's a green candidate for senator in Colorado. So on June 28th, if you want to get some back and try to regain your power, vote for the green, because the green agrees with Bernie Sanders 90% of the time. Okay, Connecticut is voting for down ballot candidates on August 9th. Washington DC is voting down ballot candidates along with the president on June 14th. Delaware, they're voting for down ballot candidates on September 13th. Florida, they're voting for down ballot candidates on August 30th. Hawaii, they're voting for down ballot candidates on August 1st. And we want to take care of Tulsi Gabbard, don't we? Shout out to Tulsi Gabbard, because she's one of the most visible Bernie Crats. We like her. Okay, Iowa is voting on June 7th for down ballot candidates. Kansas, they're voting on August 2nd. New Mexico, no, that's Massachusetts. I'm sorry. I have bad handwriting. Massachusetts is voting on September 8th for down ballot candidates. Maine, June 14th. Michigan, August 2nd. North Carolina, June 7th. North Dakota, June 14th. Minnesota is August 9th. Missouri, August 2nd. Montana, June 17th. New York, they've got 2 votes coming up. June 28th and then September 13th. It's kind of difficult. Just look at the BernieCrats.net list. It'll explain it better. Oklahoma, June 28th. Rhode Island, September 30th. No, sorry. Rhode Island is September 13th. New Hampshire, September 13th. New Jersey, June 7th. New Mexico, June 7th. Nevada, and boy, I'm sure Nevada wants to get some back, and you should get some back. Nevada is going to be voting down ballot on June 14th. So if things didn't go the way that you wanted them to during the caucus and convention, it's not over. You can still go back to the ballot box and support the Bernie Crat leaning down ballot candidates. Those of you who were disenfranchised by the actions of the Democrat leadership, you can still get some back and help Bernie out by sending Bernie Crats to Washington with him. South Carolina, June 14th. South Dakota, June 7th. Tennessee is August 4th. Utah, June 28th. Virginia, June 14th. Vermont, August 9th. Washington State, August 2nd. Wisconsin, August 9th. And Russell Feingold is running for his old Senate seat. He was an independent-leaning Democrat. That means while he was registered and ran and a member of the Democrat Party, he was very independent in thought and process and procedure with his voting, reflecting basically the state of Wisconsin, which is pretty independent. So Russell Feingold reflected that. He's an independent leaning Democrat that has been endorsed by Bernie Sanders. So Bernie definitely wants Russell Feingold to come back with him to Washington, D.C. Whether Bernie Sanders is president, he's going to need Russell Feingold in the Senate to help him. Whether Bernie Sanders is a senator, he's still going to need Russell Feingold to assist him with his lobbying, with his legislation, with his projects, whatever he's going to do. Wyoming is going to be voting on August 10th. So there's still a lot to be done. You can go to BernieCracks.net and print your list and make sure you're keeping in mind the day, the date, the time, the place, the identification needs that you need to cast your vote. Because as we've seen, there are people out there who do not want you to vote. And you don't have to let them take that away from you again. You can definitely go in there better prepared now that you know what to look for and how people are and what their agenda is all about. You can still go in and then send friendlies to Washington with Bernie Sanders. And I think that's a great project. And there's candidates standing at the ready waiting for you. So good luck with that.